The Layla Show.
Beyond the News to the Layla Show, a culture cast where the power of conversation knows no bounds. Join us as we embark on thought-provoking conversations that explore the ever-evolving trends, untold histories, diverse cultures, and profound questions of existence. Welcome back to another week of the Layla Show, and today we have guest Christopher Ellingsworth with us, and he is here to talk about the common denominator between environmental destruction and poverty and exploitation, and what he is doing to fight this main problem by building his nonprofit, The Foundation of a New World, which sounds fucking awesome, by the way. So, welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Leila. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, yeah, tell us about yourself. Tell us about all this wonderful Foundation of a New Earth, because we need a new Earth, clearly, and a foundation.
Okay. To really understand the foundation of the world, really I have to tell you about the foundation of our world first and the problems that it's causing. That's kind of how you understand better the foundation of New World. So what is the foundation of our world? It's our money. It's our economies, our global economic systems. That's what's really the backbone of our entire world. They say money makes the world go round. They're not lying. That's how we're basing our entire lives right now. So what are the problems with our money? If you look environmentally wise, you have two problems with our global economic currency that's driving pollution and, of course, climate change and all that. And that has to do with our GDP dependency and our job dependency, right? So right. GDP, if you're unfamiliar, GDP stands for gross domestic production, right? It's right. A country's gross domestic production, and it's measuring how much a country is selling per year. Now, what that does is it helps to value the currency of a country. So clearly, if you're a world leader or a leader of a country or even the state within a country, you're going to want to keep your GDP high.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. That's everyone's goal. Money rules the world, right? Money, power, that's greed.
Oh, yeah.
Negotiation from kindness and keep going.
So really what you get is you have the system where because we need to sell more every year, we need to produce more every year. So, I mean, I know it sounds a little crazy, but follow me here. If you produce something that lasts longer, is better, more efficient, it's bad for your GDP.
Right, which is just like completely backwards, like fundamentally, but makes sense because then you're not producing it as much.
Yeah, if you made a battery that lasted longer, you would not sell as many batteries, therefore it's bad for GDP. So you kind of see that there's a basis for a problem that most people always like dump down to it's just the companies. The companies are just greedy. Well, you have the people that have the power to regulate such things that don't use it. Well, why? Because right. They're also interested in keeping their GDP afloat.
Right.
Right? I have an entire list of things just specifically on the GDP system that really go into the negative aspects of it. The cost of these products. You want the cost of these products to stay high for your GDP. If they were to go down, that actually hurts your GDP. You need to produce something else to make up for the fact that you just lost GDP. Like if you could do something to curb the housing costs in whatever country you're in, if you dramatically reduce the cost of housing, well, you've dramatically reduced your GDP. So you either keep the cost of housing high or you got to find another way to charge people money to keep your GDP high.
Makes sense.
Same with healthcare.
Perspective, it makes sense.
Yes. I mean, this is like I'm not a GDP expert. This is the basic formula that we're using. And once you actually open it up and look at it, you don't need to be an expert to see that there's a fundamental problem with it that's causing us to do things worse, not better. And causing, the people we elect to be our leaders, well, even if they're trying to be good leaders, they don't really have much choice but to try to keep your economy going.
Right, because it's almost impossible in this, economy to be a good leader, which is why, when people get all caught up about, let's who to elect, does it really fucking matter? Because the fundamentals of who's in charge of everything is not going to matter who you put in, the puppet seat, because it's so much deeper than that problem. It's GDP, apparently. That's the word.
Yeah, so So like that's one head of it, and like I said, I can go on about the GDP. I'll touch on one more thing. You might see the results of this quite often, but one aspect of the GDP is it doesn't give credit to a country if they sell the raw material and the finished product in the same country.
Really?
You don't get GDP credit for both. So what you'll see is people will export the raw material to another country, and then they will sell the finished product.
Okay. Because only one counts. Yeah.
Yeah, so you see it all over the place that we are exporting something to one end of the world where they manufacture it and they ship it back and we sell the product.
China pretty much produces everything in this country, for example.
Yeah. I think I've seen this thing people post, this fruit cup. And the fruit was grown in, I believe, somewhere in South America, I forget exactly where. And then it was shipped to Thailand, and then it was shipped all the way to the United States. So what kind of system is motivating this? You look at the GDP system. If they grew it, packaged it, and sold it all in one country, they only get credit for the final product.
Right.
Doing it this way, shipping it all over the world, each country gets credit for each end of that product.
Right.
So it's an artificial system to value money that's like, it's artificially creating more worth and more value, where really you're just causing more harm and more destruction and more work for yourself. And
right, that's a whole lot of back and forth and, wasting of resources and time and energy to do such things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you look at like the shipping industry, I mean, they say the average cargo ship uses between 33,000 and 66,000 gallons of fuel per day.
That's literally awful.
Like per day, their tanks hold, I don't know, somewhere around 1 million or something. It's crazy.
But that's so good for them, haha. Because the gas company, we need to keep fucking funding these fuel companies for whatever backwards. Well, the same reason you're talking about, but God, I always thought though, I always feel like if you just were nicer to the environment and created nicer products, you could still fucking make money and rape us with your capitalistic prophecies, but without literally destroying the earth we're living on. But hey, I don't know. I'm not in charge.
Oh, but hey, I'll get to the raping part here in a minute.
Yeah, rape and pillage of the system.
Oh yeah. So that's the GDP end of the snake, right? The second head of the snake would be the job dependency aspect,
right,
which really feeds into the exact same problem. Me, you, and everyone else, we're job dependent because the cost of everything's so high. We need jobs our entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make a product that lasts longer, works better, is more efficient, same problem. You're actually hurting your job security.
That's so true.
Yeah. So again, when it comes to your leaders and their perspectives on things, if it turned out that you could, I don't know, drastically reduce the cost of healthcare, or let's just say if there was a cure for a disease and they knew that about it, the leaders of your country might be inclined to support it not coming out. Why?
Yeah. And I believe that there is cures. Come on, we're technologically advanced. I'm sure 90% of these diseases have a cure. But yeah, why would they?
I mean,
why would they give us that?
You got to think of the AIDS virus. They have not been able to find a cure. However, they can get it to sit, lay down, roll over, play dead, jump through a flaming hoop of fire, all for the cost of buying some pills every month for the rest of your life.
Right, which essentially means you know how to cure the shit. You just want money for your pharmaceutical companies, you greedy assholes.
I mean, that would be an assumption. I think it might be a fair assumption to believe that maybe they might know how to, but instead of for making it sit and roll over and everything else.
Right.
Yeah. So you see, that's kind of the two heads of the snake as far as the environment is concerned. We're destroying the environment with our production, and everything we produce, of course, we have to ship it around and we have to harvest raw materials.
Where do these people think they're going to live, though, when they kill us all? I guess, well, then again, the billionaires keep launching themselves into space rockets, so maybe they're hoping that's where they'll go. Yeah,
that's not a very good idea. Honestly,
It's a terrible idea, honestly.
Honestly, for everything about exploring the universe, I know we're getting off topic here, but for all the ideas people have about exploring the universe and finding another habitable planet, the odds are really slim. I mean, even if we found Earth.
Right.
even if you found Earth itself, there's two big problems. One, we wouldn't be able to survive on Earth even if we went back a few million years.
Right, exactly. Because we're changing the whole entire ecological structure and...
Yeah. Well, just the atmosphere.
Yeah, the atmosphere. Like, it's not going to be able to house us. I mean, I keep thinking it's not going to be in my lifetime, but, like, look how fucking hot it is. I mean, you can't be in the desert anymore. Like, people are literally dying every day just going outside. Like...
Oh, yeah.
So what do they, yeah, so no, we're not going to be able to inhabit this planet. But yeah, why would you be able to, like, okay, so yeah, you find another Earth-ish kind of planet. Okay, first of all, there's no, like, infrastructure at all. Like, there's nothing there. Like, what are a bunch of billionaires with their rocket ships gonna go, like, and do in this other planet? They don't know how to, like, they don't know how to make things. They just know how to pay for things. It's not like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I can go farm and hunt and gather. Like, you don't fucking know how to do that. Like...
Yeah, it reminds me of Don't Look Up. I don't know if you've seen the movie Don't Look Up, but in the end of it, all the rich billionaires end up on another planet, and they didn't want to bring any guns because, you know, they have their ideologies, and then, of course, like, the local wildlife eats them.
That feels really accurate. I feel like that movie was, like, totally on point, actually. But
okay, but back on the subject.
Yeah.
All right, so the GDP aspect and the job dependency aspect really addresses the environmental part. But as far as our currency and, like you said, the raping us part, you know, the rich taking advantage, there's another aspect to it that has really just gone unnoticed and not paid attention to, and that's that our currency, it has a very arbitrary value. Right? What is a dollar worth? What is a ruble worth, or whatever your currency is, you know?
Whatever someone decides, I think, right?
Well, exactly. That's the thing. Like, it's a very arbitrary type thing. Like, let's just say if you have an apple right now, if I have $1, and I decide, okay, I'll give you $1 for an apple, and you think, oh, well, okay, it's fair trade. It's kind of arbitrary, right? You think, well, what does an apple usually go for, or how long does it take me to make it? And you try to, like, put reason to it, but you say, okay, $1 for an apple, that works. Now, let's say the other end of the spectrum, we make it a lot easier to see what the value of something is. Let's say you have $1 and I have $1.
Right.
We're going to trade $1 for $1. Well, we know that's actually even. But if, you know, let's say if I'm trying to make a profit and I say, okay, well, I want $5 for your $1. You know, you see it's not really a fair trade.
Right. Right. You're like,
right.
What's going on here?
Yeah. Let me get back to the arbitrariness of, you know, our currency itself. That is, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here.
I'm good at distracting people. I know. It's partly my fault. I'm, like, really, really good at that.
It's okay. It's okay. So,
like a test. You're on the Layla show. Haha. Being tested. Can you remember what you do with your life and what you have to say? I don't know.
By the end of it, we'll both completely forgotten what we're here for.
I usually do. You're in charge here. You got to keep us on track.
Okay. All right. So, it really boils down to with our financial system and how you're treated and how your life goes. It comes down to how much you're paid and how much you're charged, right? Those are the two ends of the stick.
Wholeheartedly, yeah.
Right. So, with what you're getting paid right now, it's a value based off of how much you need. You're basically getting paid based off cost of living.
Nobody gets paid enough to live.
Yeah, but they decide, like, this is cost of living. We're going to pay you more or less depending on what your skill is and your job. We're going to pay you just enough to survive or not enough or just under it or whatever. But that's, like, where your basic concept begins, right? So anywhere you go, whether it's France or, you know, Germany or, of course, you know, Mexico or China or even within the United States, you know, from New York to Alabama, you're going to get paid differently based off just how much you need to get by day to day.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So the other end of it is how much you're getting charged, and that is as much as humanly possible. As much as they can get away with.
Yes.
Yeah, as much as it can be gotten away with, and the greater the size of your company, the easier it is for you to get away with charging more. More money on whatever it is you're trying to sell. So that, of course, this all, of course, is where the foundation of a new world comes in. So we've explained this. What I've been explaining is the foundation of our world as it stands today, and as it has stood.
It sucks. It doesn't work for anybody who's not in the 1%, essentially, and We need a foundation of a new world because we're all fucking drowning here.
Exactly.
Except we're not, because the water's going away, so we're not actually drowning. We're just, like, crawling around on a desert like, oh, water. We're thirsty. We're thirsty for, like, living and not.
Actually, that brings me to one question I've had for quite a while is concrete. It's the number one building supply, and the making of concrete actually consumes water. Like it actually just destroys water. It takes all the oxygen atoms off the water and releases the hydrogen atoms into the atmosphere. And then, of course, the hydrogen atoms can escape the atmosphere. So yeah, I kind of wonder if we might be killing ourselves or killing the entire planet more permanently than climate change and global warming by drying it up if we continue to make concrete.
That's, like, so interesting, and also, like, makes sense for the way the world works, but also just, like, one of the more fucked up things I've ever heard in my life, because, like, I understand, like, everything you're telling me and why we need what you're doing now, but, like, I will never, from a fundamental perspective, understand why people would take all of the resources and deliberately murder us and rape our planet of all its natural resources so that we cannot live here. Because also, like, if you think about it, like, the rich, greedy, whatever, the ones in charge are rich and greedy, and it's like, you're being greedy and making a planet where you can't even, like, survive and be rich anymore and do all this evil shit. So it's like, the logic in all of this is always just completely lost on me as, like, a human entity. I'll never understand it.
I remember, as far as what you're saying, I remember politicians in the 90s when scientists would bring up climate change and global warming. They would ask, their first question was usually, well, how is this going to affect me in my lifetime? Is this going to happen in our lifetimes? Is this going to be 100 years from now, 50 years from now, 200, 1,000 years? You know, if it's past our lifetimes, do we really care? That was kind of the sentiment that a lot of these people had, was, does any of it really matter if it's beyond our lifetime? Which is a sad
selfish and so shitty, and then, like, I just hate them all. But yeah, okay. Tell us about the new world.
Okay. So, the Foundation of New World, it's a nonprofit organization, and the goal of it is to build a city for those in need, and a system to eliminate poverty and oppression, curb greed, value life, promote freedom, liberty, and independence, and protect the environment simultaneously. The system that I'm referring to is the hour. It's the currency, the backbone, the point of the entire building of the city is to actually put this currency into it to show that it works, to show how it works. So the hour itself, what is the hour? We talked about the arbitrariness of money, like how you're paid as little as possible, charged as much as possible. That's kind of the arbitrariness of money. Well, with this, it's designed to actually try to change that. First, it takes away the arbitrariness of the money itself by, instead of having $1 in your pocket, you would have an hour. Right?
I like that concept.
So it's a measurable value that holds true. So how much is an hour of your time's worth right now in dollars? Well, you know, that's negotiable depending on where you are in the world, and of course what your trade skill is.
Right.
This, an hour, well, that would be worth an hour.
Right.
More or less based off your skills, again, but you have that true measurable value.
Right. It's like, time is really the most valuable currency we have on this planet. Truly.
Yeah. And not just that, but, like, what we're trading in isn't really so much stuff, it's trading my time for yours.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to. I mean, we have perfected the making of things. So it's not like we have a shortage of many things. Really what it is that we have is people working for each other. I'm working to do my part, you're working to do yours. How can we trade fairly? Right. So that's what this is about, is first you, of course, give a true value to an arbitrary value, which is an hour, as opposed to $1 or ruble or Bitcoin or anything else. Yeah. So the next part of it, as far as what you get charged, there's a series of rules with the hour. And those rules really help to show you the true cost of a product or a service before the profit comes in. Right? Okay. So right now, when you go to buy something, let's say you go to get you go to the doctor, you go to buy a house, whatever. They just give you a price. You're basing your assumption, if that's a fair price, on everything you've seen.
Right, based on the market value or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
real estate is just all over the place. I mean, I know I'm always looking at houses and I can't afford them, but it's a nice thought. But it's like, I will say, it's all over the map. Like, who declares the market? Like, I don't know. And like when it drops and when it, it's all over the place. I can buy a house here for like half the price I can buy over there, and it's like smaller and it's shittier.
I mean, it's a crazy scheme with the real estate. Basically it sells based off of what people are buying it for.
Right, literally. And I mean, I sell vintage clothing, and it's kind of the same deal, though. It's like, who makes the value of vintage clothing? Well, the other ones who sell it. So it's kind of like real estate, which means I'm kind of like a real estate hustler in the clothes industry, which I get it. So I get it, but with clothes, I'm like, yeah, worth it. With real estate, I'm like, fuck you guys, I can't afford a house.
Yeah. I mean, with real estate, like, you're talking about a lifetime of trying to pay for it. Whereas, like, this currency is designed really to go after the bigger ticket items. Your smaller items, that might hurt you for, a day.
Yeah, like a week. Day,
yeah. When you come to things like real estate, well, that's the rest of your life.
Literally, you're signing your entire life away to own a piece of something.
Yeah. And as it stands, like back to the climate change issue, if everyone is so in debt to owning their home, they have to work for the rest of their lives just to pay for it. You get back to that climate change issue.
It's just a vicious cycle. Work forever to pay for your home so that you aren't homeless, but then like never enjoy your life because you can't afford to live. Essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with the hour though, it's designed to actually change that. So by showing the true cost of the house.
Right.
Instead of people saying, oh, well, everyone else bought it for, 110 and now they're buying it for 120 and now they're buying it for 140. Well, you got no choice. You got to pay 140, 150 because that's just what it's selling for. Mm-hmm. Well, with this, you'll actually see the actual price. How much it actually costs to produce it. And if it's an older house, you'll see, there's a deterioration aspect as well.
Right.
With that, you as a consumer are actually more armed to even have the discussion, to even negotiate what a fair price is, to even see what a fair price is. Whereas now
that takes inflation out of it and like all of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I mean it's just designed to try to keep things in control, or not in control, but to curb greed from getting out of hand. Right. You could argue, okay, well, people are going to like this place more than that one, and they'll be more people want to buy this area than that area, and they'll pay more for that. Okay, but if people know the true cost of it, it'll help keep it a little bit more under control and less likely to, grow, insanely like our housing market has been.
That's true.
And the same thing with medical care. You look at medical care, you ask why it's so expensive, and what you get is a lot of excuses.
Right.
Oh, well, it's expensive because the people don't pay, or it's expensive because the insurance premiums, or there's a lot of R&D, or they spend a lot of time trying to convince you that their prices are fair.
Which is inaccurate. Healthcare should fucking be free. I have lived in Europe, and it is fucking free. I'll say whatever I have to say about any other country, but at least they give you fucking free healthcare. Like, that is very good. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know with this though, it would show you the truth and what that costs.
Right.
So, you would have a lot less excuses as to why is it so expensive. Let's just say right now, like I said, they spend a lot of time trying to convince you of legitimate reasons why it's expensive. Under this system, it'll actually show you what the true cost is.
Which is valid.
Yeah, you can imagine the difference that's going to make when, sometimes people go to the hospital for something major and they'll walk out with hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars in bills.
Right, they can't fucking afford it. You can't afford to be sick.
Yeah, and with this, you would actually see, for all those hundreds of thousands of dollars of bills, the actual cost is like a small portion of that.
Right.
And people aren't going to people aren't going to stand for it. People aren't going to stand for going to a hospital and being charged that much amount of money. And like, even like you say, in some countries, healthcare is free, or, you know, it's provided for the people from the government.
Right.
You know, the healthcare industry there, it's just charging the government, and it's charging you through taxes. So like, it would even help in that situation. So if they're trying to just pull it over on the government,
the fuck out of everything. So
do what?
Either way, they're taxing the fuck out of everything. So yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So with this, I mean, it would still help there because, you know, even from the government's perspective, they see that these companies are just trying to make money hand over fist. It'll be a lot easier to do something about that when they see the actual cost of whatever product it is.
And people need that. We need to see the truth and the actual reality of what things cost. So.
Yeah, and as far as the other side, like I said, the hour itself, think of $1 and just copy and paste an hour over top of $1. Now, the front side would have the rules that basically establish the system that we were just talking about showing the true cost of a product. The back side of this is designed to undo the GDP system. It's designed as a different way of measuring a country's currency, and it's more based off of valuation between the infrastructure and the amount of people in the country. So you're backing, you know, your currency instead of like gold, where, let's just say, globally speaking, if you value countries' currencies on gold, then you're always going to have the extremely rich country and the extremely poor countries.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because there's only somebody's going to have the gold. Well, with this, you're valuing it based off of infrastructure and the actual amount of people to back that up.
Which is much more fair ruling of wealth because
you give other countries a chance that as long as they follow the rules of the system and keep it balanced, that they will actually be able to have basically their time will be valuable. Like, just because I'm in X country and you're in Y country really doesn't make me more valuable.
No, it shouldn't. No.
Exactly. So, you know, if it's going to be more valuable, it would be more because I'm better at what I do, or we have better, you know, production techniques or something like that. Not because,
which is fair. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, but not just because, oh well, I have this shiny rock and you don't.
I know,
you hold the power of the shiny rock.
I want the shiny rock too.
Behold the power of the shiny rock. Bow down before it. Like, that's
literally. I know it is.
Yeah.
I look at my diamonds. Didn't pay for them. But literally bow down to the shiny. But that's crazy though. Also because like, think about like, didn't like blood diamonds all come from Africa? But all we did was steal them and then make them like the poorest country ever. So, like, to be fair, that didn't go well for them at all.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't like, we got blood diamonds, let's be like on top of the world. They're like, no.
I'm pretty sure a lot of Western countries gave them guns for those diamonds so they could kill each other.
Yeah, like, really awesome. Good fucking job.
Yeah. There's a lot of history in like everything that we could talk about. I know I had a professor. He talked about, you know, Africa and how, you know, during whatever time period Europe basically decided, okay, I'm going to take this portion, you're going to take this portion, and we're going to divide it up like a piece of cake. Yeah. And he said nowadays it's pretty much still the same.
Yeah.
At least according to him.
Either way, they're all owned by somebody, and it's not them, which sucks. So, anyways, that system doesn't work at all. Clearly.
Oh yeah.
Which is unfair to all. I mean, you know, luckily we grew up in a country that we've been able to establish some sort of life, even though it sucks. So, because God bless those, like, fucking Africa. We really fucked them on every front, all of us. Like, we really went in there and we were like, literally fuck all of you. You get absolutely none of this cake. Europe, you get some. Asia, well, you got China and North Korea, so you get a little bit. Like, Australia, fuck it. We leave you alone. We really do leave Australia alone, I feel like. Canada, whatever, you get some. But yeah, no, Africa, we just didn't even give them crumbs. We were just like, fuck you guys.
I don't know. I think, as far as that goes, just this way, speaking colonial type thing, Europe did a pretty good job of basically trying to colonize and conquer everything they could. I mean, even like Asia, Britain had India, which
That's true.
It just sounds insane because Britain is tiny and they managed to control like
Yeah,
all
they
of India.
managed to do a lot being really small.
Yeah. I mean, so many islands out there, they just like completely took over. Like you said, being extremely small, and not just Britain though. I mean, like basically most of Europe really did a good job of conquering most areas.
And they're all small. Like, I mean,
Portugal. How did Portugal take over Brazil? I mean,
because Brazil's huge and Portugal's like the size of California, so.
I basically just drew a line on a map, said this is ours now, and you know, when we find the people who are actually there, they'll figure it out.
Like, fundamentally, I still don't understand how any of this happened, but that just goes to show, like, people, because, like, in all reality, like, so, like, you'll tell me more about this system, but it's, like, in reality, there is so much more of us than them, so it's, like, the fact that we keep allowing, like, the smaller people, quote unquote, to be dominated by these mass companies and whatever asshole decides, like, I can have things. It's basically some person who's like, I can have shit, and we just all, like, lay over and we're like, yeah, you can. Like, what the fuck? There's only, like, a few of you guys. There's billions of us. And we're like, yeah, of course. You can keep doing this. You can keep taking it. We're just gonna lay back and let it fucking happen. Like, no. I mean, I wouldn't stand for it, but I can't fight it all by myself. But in reality, this shouldn't be going on based on the construct that there's billions and billions of us compared to these little ego power trip douchebags.
Actually, I have something that actually refers to all of this, everything that we're talking about here, and that would be that it's always been about, for a person to be wealthy, it's always been about not what you own, but the ability to control people, the ability to have people work for you, whether they're slaves. I mean, going back to the beginning of our history, whether it's been through slavery or through like serfdom, like was through all of like Europe. You're having people work for you. You're having people that, you know, you get their labor for very cheap. When you get to colonialism, the idea with the colony was that they couldn't even sell their goods to any other country except for the country that owned them.
Right.
So, yeah, you were stuck paying whatever low price, or stuck being paid whatever low price they decided to give you. So a lot of their third world countries today were colonies that were established a long time ago. So they were always getting low prices for whatever goods they made, which has continued on today. And today, as opposed to using colonies to accomplish this, we're using our companies and basically our unfair pay and charge systems to do the same thing, where I can give you very little and you will give me a lot. That's basically what's happening today. And today it's all coming down to, because money itself is very arbitrary. And It's easy to take advantage of that.
Piece of paper. It's not like gold where there's limited amounts of it. It's literally printed. There's endless. Like,
yeah.
The concept of debt doesn't really exist because you can't be in debt to a piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like, how does that fucking work?
I don't know. When you have so much money, I think even with the system that I've designed, if you just printed money forever, there would be an issue with it. You would devalue it. I think with the United States, they have artificially kept it up through the petrodollar and other means. And of course, everyone being invested in the same thing. I think I don't understand completely how it works, but you know, you always hear people talk about. How does your
system work then? Like, how did you fix all of our problems?
Well, like I said, with the artificial value or the inadequate pay and the overcharging, that really comes down to the first rules with the hour itself.
Right.
You know, one, it's an hour, so you'll be being paid based off an hour, so it's not as arbitrary. The first two rules have to do with, you know, you don't get paid less than half an hour per hour. Anything over 3 hours per hour is considered part of a company's profit. So let's just say if you're the owner of a company, you can pay yourself whatever you want, but you can't just go around saying that, you know, you're not making a profit, even though you're making tons and tons of money. Right? So there's a limit basically before you have to call it profit. So you kind of see the balance there. Like a nonprofit. A nonprofit wouldn't be able to have a CEO making $1 million a year saying, oh yeah, it's a nonprofit. Right?
Yeah, that's profit.
Yeah. Or just any company, you know, to turn around and say, hey, guys, we're not making a profit. we're going to need to go to the government for the bailout, or we're going to need to do this or do that or do the other thing.
Right.
Well, with this system, you would actually say, you know what? Actually, you are making a profit. You're just paying it all to yourself. So before you go looking for a handout from the government, you need to stop paying yourself hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever it is you're paying yourself. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Billions sometimes. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. So that kind of eliminates the unfair pay situation.
Yeah. So this system's designed to actually take a lot of the problems we're having and turn them around. The hopes that, like, right now everything seems to be spiraling out of control.
Oh, so much so.
Yeah, this would actually is designed to create the opposite spiral, getting things better. Like the cost of goods, when people can see what that good is actually worth before all the profit is put into it. Whereas right now things are getting more and more expensive. This system would cause things to get cheaper and cheaper as people constantly fight and say, you know what, I don't want to pay, however much you're trying to charge just because that's what you're trying to charge. I can see what the true cost of this product is. Right. So in that way, it's designed to actually take that and turn it around.
I like that. It sounds promising.
Yeah. And even with inflation itself, right now, our economies inflate in part because they just raise prices. So they raise prices on goods, the prices of pay goes up, and then of course there's other factors that go into it. But with this system, it's designed to basically beat inflation by, one, maintaining the same amount of pay. You're going to have an hour for an hour's work. If you're seeing the average pay is going from 1 hour for an hour to 2 hours for an hour to 3 hours for an hour to 4 hours for an hour, if that's happening, there's something, devastatingly wrong with your system. You've put it way out of balance and it's not working. And of course you have to fix it. Like I said, though, the valuation of it comes off of your infrastructure. So first you would have the government infrastructure that's built, your cities, as far as your roads, your courthouses, whatever, firehouses, whatever it is. You have all the infrastructure that's like the property of the government. The money that was paid for it to be built is, of course, the money that's on the table, that's out there within your city. And that balance comes with that, not having more money than infrastructure you have to back it up. And of course, the amount of people that you have within your city. So if you have, let's just say, if you made empty cities, build this huge, beautiful city and no one's there, like no one at all, it's just empty. Well, that money isn't going to be as valuable.
Right.
You're kind of creating you're creating a problem there where there's a lot of money floating around and there's no one there that actually wants it or works for it or whatever.
Right. Yeah. No, they have to work. Okay. I like this.
Yeah.
So where would this start? Like, what space would you start occupying? Like,
the plan here has been to build this in a very low income area of the world, likely Africa or something like that, somewhere around there. Probably Eastern Africa, but we'd have to work that out whenever we actually get closer to raising the money to build the city.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I was like, where is this going to be? Because, I know there's like a lot. Well, I didn't know if it was here because I know there's like a lot of empty land here, but Africa sounds better. They need it more.
Well, yeah, it's there's a few factors. One, there's a lot of people that are definitely in need, and they would appreciate the fact that they'd be given a house.
Right.
Right. If they were to go to work for this currency, they could use it to buy a house. They could use it to buy food, stuff like that.
Right, which they're not housed and they're not eating, so.
Yeah. So they would be more able to do that. If you were to go into, a place like the United States or France or somewhere like that, and you say, hey, you want to come work and build a house for this experimental currency that the world does not recognize yet. Yeah. No, you're not going to be able to use it to buy an iPad.
I love that
you're not going to be able to use it to buy a cell phone.
No, c'est pas possible.
Exactly. Like, people aren't going to jump in line in a modernized country to do this, to work for a currency that isn't yet recognized.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So this would have to be done in a place where there's people poor enough that would do that. And on top of that, there's the growth aspect.
Right.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second.
Oh, sorry. I said, okay, yeah, that makes more sense to me. I was like, in my head, I was like theorizing. I was like, how would you do that here? So I had to ask. I was like,
oh yeah.
Who's signing up here? I mean, I'd sign up for it, but.
I mean, right now it's about supporting it and getting the word out and getting people to actually start donating.
This is why
Those are the main parts of
we
getting
have you
started.
on the show today.
All right. But the other reason, besides just, people would want to be working for the experimental currency and basically getting homes and food and stuff like that out of it. But another part of it was the growth. If it stood a chance of growing beyond its own borders,
right,
that also requires it to be in an area of the world where, people would be more likely to take this currency and actually use it. You go into a modernized country, you think about, if you did this even like way out in an empty part of whatever country, would neighboring towns and villages be willing to, take up this currency? Like in the United States?
The United States, fuck no.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck no.
So, yeah, it wouldn't be a good place for it to grow because it wouldn't be able to. And if it did, the hostilities would be, there would be hostility if, the United States had someone basically, eating away at their currency.
You'd get shot in the head real quick.
Yeah, probably. You would disappear, your airplane would crash or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, we disappear people. We don't shoot them anymore. I forgot. We stopped assassination publicly in the 60s, I think.
Oh, yeah. No. You'll disappear, or maybe like it'll suddenly turn out that you were a pedophile or something.
You'll be blacklisted. You'll have raped someone, or you'll have OD'd or killed yourself, even though you have no depositions of suicidal tendencies or depression at all.
Yeah, you'll manage to climb 100 feet up a glass wall to hang yourself from the ceiling.
Of course. Totally logical. I mean, that's like literally how everyone I've ever heard of goes out willingly.
I mean, really, a glass, and you stick it to it. I mean, you could do that like 100 feet up. I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem,
No, it's super simple. We're all Spider-Man hands here.
Yeah, so as far as getting this out into the world and actually doing it, right now we need to, of course, fundraise. Anything anyone can give, even as much as you would spend on a lunch or dinner.
Okay.
That's all I would ask of anyone. If you could donate enough for a lunch or dinner, you're helping to actually make this happen.
Right. So hear that, everyone? Fucking don't go out to dinner this week, guys. Support this instead. Your dinner can wait till next week. Or there's people, like my parents go out to dinner 3 times a week. Just cut out. Cut out
however much money you spend on like one lunch or one dinner, whether it's $5, $10, $20, $30, whatever it is. Like, it's not going to break you.
I got to lunch yesterday that should have gone to you. Next time it will.
All right.
By next lunch, I'll be donating.
So the other end would be getting the word out there, helping to share this content, telling other people you meet face to face, or putting it all over your social media. That's the other end of this.
Are you marketing correctly? My marketing skills come in. Who's your marketer?
I am horrible at marketing. This is one of our techniques, is trying to go through as many of our podcasts as we can, trying to get airtime, and of course, hopefully that we get to a larger audience, getting heard of. And
one good stand-up. Are you on the Instagram? I don't even know. Do I?
No, we don't have an Instagram yet. We need to get an Instagram.
Oh. Sorry, absolutely. Get on the Instagram. That's where you get the people.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make Instagram. We have Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter.
Okay, those are correct. But Instagram, it's where the business happens nowadays.
Really? All right, we're gonna have to work on Instagram and LinkedIn. I think the next two we're gonna have to make.
Okay. Yes, we'll keep not to lecture you on marketing. I mean, I'm not that great at it, but Instagram it. The podcasts are a good way. Like, can we get like Joe Rogan on this or something? Like,
I mean, that would be great. That's like I said, one of the aspects is trying to get to the larger, work your way up the ladder as far as the podcasting goes. And
right, you're small fry here, but I'm trying to be like big like Joe Rogan, so maybe one day. But
oh yeah. Well, isn't he like? I think I've seen something that he actually has more attendance than the Super Bowl or something like that. Like
yeah, like I'm trying to do that. That sounds good. I'm here for it. I like him. Like
I don't know. He was famous though before he started podcasting.
I know he had fear factor. I don't know.
Yeah.
I gotta get my ass on reality TV or something. You too. Get yourself on reality TV. There you go.
All right.
Terrible life advice. I don't know.
I'll do some kind of what do you call it? I don't know, a matchmaking love affair reality TV show like Rock.
Oh my god! I actually was like scanning on Craigslist yesterday for like just like because I do this. I do this. I'm an author. I sell vintage clothes. Like I do, but I do pick up like side gigs, you know. So I pop in and look at the events stuff all the time. Like, what can I go pop in and make a lot of money this weekend? Blah blah blah. So I did see a sign up for like a reality TV show. I was like, should I sign up for this? I feel like I should. I was like, I don't know if they'll like me. But like you have to like pretend you're looking for love. I'm not looking for love, but I am looking for recognition. Like now they're already not going to accept me because this is going to be on the air. I'm in trouble. See, I'm blowing up my own cover. All right, I'm fired. I'm fired.
So you just in about 30 seconds you took the job and got fired.
I think
or you got fired before you could take the job, or yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to business. I told you I'm distracting. Back to business as usual.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we got to spread the word. That's the thing. And is it just like, do you have a team working with you, or are you flying this train solo right now?
Right now I have a few friends that are helping, but right now we're trying to get the fundraising up so that I can actually bring together staff that can work on actually laying out the details of the city. Basically city planning would be, what you'd be looking at. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're pretty much in the beginnings right now.
Just trying to figure out how we help you. So yeah, we just need people to know about this.
We need volunteers too. If you're willing to volunteer, you can always go to the website and contact us as far as whatever it is you think you could do to help. If you want to volunteer,
let's put it out there so everyone knows.
Yeah, if you're good at marketing, like we discussed, you could always reach out through us on the contact forms and suggest that you're good with marketing and that you would like to help out.
Okay, so we need
whatever
help,
it is,
or whatever it is. Yeah. What else do you need? You need marketing. You need a city planner, but that's later on.
Yeah. Fundraising, if you're good at that, there's a lot of different things. Like I said,
crowdfunding experts. Like, come on, hit them up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like this. Okay. So this is looking at. Well, this is like a huge undertaking, of course, but I mean, I think it's really great. It could change so much. Especially as it grows and stuff. I mean, who's to say that the whole world won't just catch on, which is really ambitious. I guess I'm being ambitious about it, but.
Well, me myself, I always thought this would take off a little faster than it has, because so many people are always going on about climate change and environmental destruction, and it's hard to get the message out there. A lot of these larger companies, they don't want to hear. But from anyone that they've never heard of. Even the climate change events and panels and so on and so forth, if they haven't heard of you, they're unlikely to even listen to you.
That is correct. I mean, that's just like a casualty of this modern day world. It's very hard. No matter how great your ideas are, it's no matter how wonderful you are, it's hard to get yourself out there as a no-name. So we need that's why I'm like, go get yourself on Joe Rogan. I don't know who can hit him up. I don't know him.
Even with like what you're saying, getting on Joe Rogan or getting on TED Talks.
Yeah.
It helps more to have other people refer you.
Right.
If you are asking for yourself, that's like 99%. They're just going to throw you away. If other people are referring you and recommending you, that's a different story altogether.
I could, but who the fuck is Layla Ziari? I don't know. I think I'm a pretty big deal, but that's literally just alone. Nobody else.
But I mean, it's about referrals, in a lot of this. And even if it's like, a lot of people that no one knows, it's a lot of people.
Right.
Which shows them there's a lot of people interested in whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta keep building that network for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Make miracles happen.
I do want to say, like, as far as this system and let's just say the environmental impact.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the GDP problem, the job dependency problem, how we're not producing things to last longer and to be better. With the hour, you're taking care of that job dependency issue, right? So it would actually benefit you to make things that last longer because you're not worried about keeping people employed constantly.
Right.
As your job dependency goes down, the need for jobs goes down. So you can keep that in balance as, you no longer need as many jobs. Well, you ain't got to produce things that are trash just to keep people employed. And then, of
Right.
course, your GDP dependence goes down.
Maybe
Or,
that'll create happier lives too, because no one literally wants to be working as a slave for the rest of their existence. Like,
exactly.
I don't want to. And yeah, I mean, I personally, but like I know I'm a rarity. I personally buy nicer products that do last me a long time because I like that kind of thing. So I feel like, there's a lot of portions of the world that would be on board with that.
Yeah.
The guys in charge. I think like every single one of us is on board with that, other than like the big guys and the guys. What do they call them? I don't know. Big eyes in the skies. I like that. That's what we're gonna call them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna reduce job dependency, which will help the environment, and maybe we won't all die in our lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, how can you really save the environment if you're just worried about keeping everybody employed? I mean, the loggers, you need to keep them employed. Even if they need to log more and kill the environment, you might not be able to live in the next 20 years. But hey, they need a job, so
They could always just start employing jobs only for like sustainability projects, but they won't do that. So
yeah, it's hard to get them to change their minds on things.
Stupid, because we might not make it 20 more years. I mean, I don't know what our trajectory is, but it's gotten pretty goddamn bad very fucking fast.
Yeah. I'd love to give you one final thought to think about. It's a quote from the website. If you go to www.thefoundationfornewworld.com, that's where you find like the website about this, videos explaining in detail the hour and everything. But a quote that I think it's really good. It's really relevant. It's that to have freedom, liberty, and independence, a true measure of value must be placed on work, goods, and trade. Without a true measure of value, a person can be exploited both in their pay and in the prices they're charged, leaving their freedom, liberty, and independence out of reach. So I mean, how independent are you if you're in debt your entire life? Are you liberated?
Machine.
Yeah, are you really liberated and free and independent if you are gonna have to work for someone else? I mean, you're basically a paid slave at that point. You don't have to be called a slave anymore. You call them workers with jobs.
But it's modern day slavery. So. Yeah, food for thought. Well, yeah. So we'll leave them on that then, because that's a good end thought. Well, thank you for coming, Chris. And like you said, the foundationofanewworld.com for everybody. And let's fucking watch those videos, get it going, get the word out, and make yourself an Instagram, because then they'll follow you.
Yeah, I'll have to get on the Instagram. Like I said, we have Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr even. But yeah, we'll have to get Instagram up and running.
Layla demands so.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for listening to another week of The Layla Show. Bisous, ciao, ma famille.
The Layla Show.